So today let's talk Dean guitars. Like, why Dean? Why am I playing Dean? Why have I bought so many Deans? There's multiple reasons for that. One big one is, at first I was captivated by the shapes of them when I was younger, around 13. You know, I saw the catalog and I saw like the Razorback, the ML. I wasn't a huge Dave Mustaine freak yet. I didn't realize that he joined Dean at that time. But eventually, you know, I've caught on and figured out that, you know, he's got a signature line of guitars. So, my first high-end guitar, when I was committed and I actually was going at it, learning guitar, my parents got me the Dean Razorback Explosion. And I dug it. It was just this thing that didn't even look like an instrument. It just looked like chaos. And for my age, it worked perfect. That's what I wanted. And as I got better at playing guitar, I noticed, oh, I kind of want the 24 frets. And I was a Slayer freak at that time, so I thought that I'd want the tremolo so I could do all these weird whammy bar stuff. I realized that my playing style started turning into not needing a bar. It was just mostly so having the tremolo was kind of in the way and just not needed. I just needed this hardtail fixed bridge thing string through the body. So I eventually got, around 2008, I got my first Dean Dave Mustaine. It was the black Korean-made VMNT. I still have it to this day. And it turned into my favorite guitar. It had everything that I wanted in it. Because, yes, I'm a huge Dave Mustaine fan, and he has his specs, but it turns out that's what I wanted. I wanted a volume for this pickup, I wanted a volume for this pickup, a three-way switch, and a tone knob. With 24 frets, ebony fretboard, like shark inlays. I like the little mini dot. And I'm a huge fan of Seymour Duncan pickups. These ones are active, and I like it. They have killer sustain. I wanted that. I wanted killer sustain, so I could do whatever I wanted without worrying about the dry setting of an amp or something. Just wanted to plug it in and just make any amp that I really played in sound great. At Guitar Center, when I couldn't buy them new anymore, I'd be at Guitar Center testing it out, seeing how it is, you know, it was pre-owned. And I'd have like a jazz player who's like way older than me, you know, just see my playing, see like, what do you have there? And I'd let them play it and I'd say like, hey, play this in a clean channel, try the middle position, see what it's like. And, you know, they'd play their stuff. And they were like, wow, that actually sounds pretty good. I'm like, yeah, like, you don't have to play a hollow body or some traditional shape or whatever just to get a good sound out of older music. I'm going to do my best to not be biased when I start talking about the quality, because I've bought several and I've seen my issues too, but the ones that I own specifically, they don't have issues. When I've ever had an issue, it's been pre-owned and there may have been something done to the instrument previously or just not well maintained. But the ones that I own, there's no issue with them. And some of them are pretty old at this point, at least 10 years. They stay in tune, and it might have something to do with these Grover tuners, because that Trans Amber one that I played, that's a Korean model, and I haven't tuned that thing for months. And I just picked it up and played something for you guys. So this specific one is a USA Korina, the only Korina guitar I have. I had the Korean Korina one too, but I got rid of it because I was buying Ernie Ball Majesties. And, you know, that was way worth it. So I really downsized on a lot of the Deans I had, but I had like 30 or 40 in the past. Just lots of Mustaine models, 1ML, a Razorback that I still have. I like their guitars. They just have specs that I really enjoy. The neck profiles on some of them, the pickups. I don't really have to do anything to them. That's a huge reason why I was buying them. I didn't have to get different pickups or any of that stuff. So it was just ideal. I could just buy it, drop the money on it, and enjoy it. Where some guitars, like you get one that you really like, but you gotta change the pickups out or maybe some hardware, something like that. I prefer not doing that, personally, unless I'm planning on buying a guitar to do that specifically, too. Oh man, way lighter. So these Korean models are way lighter than the USA counterparts. I dig both. Like, you know, if you don't want to drop an extra $2,000 at the time when these were all available, yeah, I'd go with the Korean model. This is one of my favorite guitars. I was so captivated by this finish. It's hellacious yet holy at the same time, and it's perfect for playing metal for sure. Same thing, it has the specs I want. I didn't really care for woods besides the fretboard, so I wanted an ebony fretboard. I got an ebony fretboard. These pearl inlays, love them. Seymour Duncan pickups. The 2 volumes, tone knob, 24 frets. Love it. Dean was killing it for this small time period that I was playing guitar, and it just worked. By about 2015, after that, they started really dropping down. But around 2011, 2012, they kind of outsourced some of these guitars to Indonesia, and the quality went way down. And I didn't understand manufacturers at the time. I would just see one and be like, oh sweet, it's an Angel of Death. And I'd pick it up. I even saw that the headstock didn't have like the beveling. It was just like a chopped piece of wood that someone painted over. Brand new guitar. And I was like, that's different. It's not like my Dean. And I'd play it. It's got the pickups, but the inlays don't look like pearl. They were fake pearloid or whatever. I'm like, what is going on? And I didn't realize that it was made in Indonesia. I now started seeing that when I got a little older and watched and saw that, oh, some guitars are built elsewhere and whatever, and that's where the quality, yeah, has changed. So the Korean guitars were made in World Music Instrument Corporation, if that's the name. So that was something I started noticing, was I'd start playing a Dean that was made in Korea, and it'd feel good, sound great, whether it was a Michael Schenker or a Mustaine, maybe a Razorback, and then I'd play an LTD, like the 1000 range LTD, and notice that, oh, it feels really good too, but familiar. And I had the BC Rich Bitch double neck, and that was also built in Korea from what I'm assuming was the World Music Instrument Corporation, or company, whatever it's called. And I was like, I started kind of putting it together slowly that, oh, they might be built in the same factory. So I looked up videos a few years back and noticed that, oh, you'd see an LTD rack of guitars, and next to it some Mustaines from Dean, and then somewhere else some other brand. I think I even saw some Mockingbirds for BC Rich. I was like, this is cool, because I like those brands. And it's like, you can't really bitch about a brand if you like the other one too, when their imports are made at the same place. I was noticing the quality was pretty much even which is good because like they make high-end stuff. If you don't want to drop the extra $2,000 for the equivalent for like a USA model, I thought it was great. And that was just a good time period to buy guitars. Just like in the 90s when Jackson was making Japanese guitars. That was such a great time to be buying Jackson. And Jackson's killing it still, but a lot of their Indonesia stuff is really sad on the build quality. So I've seen it myself, and you know, you can look on YouTube and see the quality issues. I like the USA quality. It was worth the money I paid for it. It's also more dense. It's heavier. A heavier piece of mahogany. You know, it's probably better quality wood. But the thing is, it's beautiful at the same time that you get the same spec on the Korean guitars. These Korean-made Deans and the USA models. You're going to get the same pickups, same configuration, an ebony fretboard, mahogany body, set neck design. Feels pretty comfortable. V. The pearl inlays, they both have pearl if you're buying it from Korea at the time. Grover tuners. I think these Grover tuners are like a USA like higher end because they're a little bit different. Just ever so slightly, but they both hold tune, so that's great. Dean has done good for me as a musician. I've performed with these guitars. I have the double neck. I love performing with that. They've been reliable. They sound great. I haven't really had an issue with them. I have a few stories, though, to share of my bad experiences with Dean, but it's in the used area. And again, I'm going to try not to be biased. I'm just trying to share that I have a support for this brand because they've done well for me, and I wouldn't have a lot of them if I didn't like playing them. I find them inspiring. They're very comfortable. They sound great. Look, there's no neck dive. It's balanced. It's a balanced guitar. It's super reliable. So I have enjoyed Dean guitars, genuinely. I like other brands. Like Jackson is probably my favorite brand. I love Jackson. My issue with Jackson, at least in my time period of playing guitar, was I couldn't get their Japanese guitars very easily. I didn't like how the Indonesian guitars, like the quality, I didn't like how they were being built and some of the specs. Like, how hard is it to get a fixed bridge on a King V? A lot of people want that still. It's cool. It's comfortable. I enjoy it. That's why I had to go find this thing. It took years to find that. Where at least the Deans were more accessible. So that was part of it too. It also helped, obviously, that Dave Mustaine had an endorsement with Dean. So I got that spec I wanted. One had sharp fret ends, but it just wasn't maintained. They didn't condition a fretboard and stuff. You know, that can happen with any brand. Some had failed electronics, like a pot. It was just a bad quality pot. Or I've actually had an issue with maybe 2 or 3 of the Seymour Duncan Livewire pickups. And that's a Seymour Duncan thing. Which is weird because Seymour Duncan's like my favorite pickup brand. They've done good to me too. But I gotta share some of these bad experiences. There's only been a few. And it started going in the Indonesia direction where there was some bad quality with, you know, pots or uneven frets, maybe some sharp frets, stuff like that. And then there was a few newer Korea-made Dean guitars that were Mustaine models, and they were pretty good for the most part, but they were even lighter. And oh man, the electronics, they were bad. The pots were such horrible quality that they'd get dirty very quickly. Not that reliable. The switch would cut out. And that's happened to a lot of three-way toggle switches, but it's just the parts were not that great. And, oh, even the bridge was different. The bridge suffered too. It was like very low quality pegs, and then the bridge itself. And it just sucked because they were lowering their quality yet raising their price. And I noticed it, and you know, as a huge Dean fan, I started feeling betrayed. So I kind of started easing away from buying Dean guitars and looked for more Jackson, and really got into Ernie Ball Music Man. I will be performing with these. I will be recording with them. Like, they're keepers. Like, what I have is like my private stock of guitars. I love what I have right now. And you know, I'm dabbling into Solar guitars a little bit. It just sucks that right now, currently at 2021, a lot of brands are going to Indonesia right now, and a little bit in China. Like, LTD's now making stuff in Indonesia. They were making stuff in Korea forever. And now, Jackson's been doing Indonesia, so, you know, there's nothing that's really changed about that. Ibanez is still doing Indonesia, and, you know, they're about, like, 2017, they were having a huge problem with fret ends that were very sharp. So I wonder if that World Music Instrument Corporation is gonna still be making guitars, like with LTD and Dean, and if BC Rich keeps putting stuff out, all those nice Korean model guitars. I really hope they do, because honestly, for me, it's worth the money. Because you get that quality. They don't make crap. So again, why Dean guitars? A lot of guitar players are divided about them. They either think they're garbage, or some people enjoy their Deans, if they have any. And I'm kind of excited for what Dean's coming out with for 2021. But a lot of those guitars are going to be Indonesian made. So I'm a little hesitant. A couple are Korean made, but we'll see. I just wanted to share that, like, I'm a supporter of their guitars. I put my money where my mouth is, and I like what they were doing. That could change. Current models that I have were built in that good time of building these guitars. So I'm happy with these ones. I don't know how that's going to go forever, but again, I have high hopes for Jackson. I'm very excited for Ernie Ball. I'm even excited for Solar. Some of those other bands, like, I want to play Ormsby. I want to get one of those. I want to get my hands on an Abasi guitar, because I'm dabbling in 8-string. So there's all these killer brands that are making stuff. I'm not just solely a Dean player. I love Dean, but there's other great guitar brands out there too. I just wanted to share that what they were doing before with these models is killer. Like, they earned my business for sure. But so have all these other brands. I just want to show that not all of Dean's guitars are really bad. A lot of them are pretty good. Especially the USA stuff. It was great, you know, but you got to pay a lot for it. But that Korean stuff that was made, you know, like 10 years ago was great. I loved it. It just started getting really bad after 2015. Like, even some of the Mustaine models were starting just to be built in Indonesia and China. And I played a couple of the China guitars, and oof, They were pretty bad in quality. Brand new guitar out of the box, under $1,000. Some were just $499, some were about $799, and yikes, the quality on them was scary. So it sucks if some of the people that got to finally try a Mustaine model were trying those guitars just a couple years back. That's sad, because those weren't the guitars to play. It was the Korean guitar. It was the Rust in Peace and the Angel of Death guitars that were out for Korea still. And there was also the Tiger Eye limited edition and the Trans Blue limited edition. Those were great guitars, but they felt a little less quality, but they were still made in Korea, and they were great instruments. I even owned the blue one for a bit, but then started buying Majesties.